Hello guys, I'm Adrian and today I'm going to show you how to start coding in HTML, CSS. So basically what you need to start coding today. There are a lot of editors that you can use or software that you can use to start coding in HTML or CSS. One of my favorites is the Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to show you how to install it today. So in order to find Visual Studio Code, just go to Google and type Visual Studio Code and you'll get to this page. Okay, and you can see that I am on Windows, so I'll have the download for Windows option here. But if you are on Mac, you should have the download for Mac option. So let's install it. And heads up, you can use Visual Studio not only for HTML or CSS, you can use it for a lot of other programming languages. Just hit here download, and as I am on Windows 11, I will choose this option. So it seems that I already downloaded the Visual Studio Code. So let's install it. Accept the agreement. Be sure to check this add to path option. Then you can create a desktop icon if you want and install. And you can launch the Visual Studio Code. So after you installed the Visual Studio Code, just go to your desktop and start Visual Studio Code. There you go. Now, I highly recommend you to create like a folder, a new folder, like let's say HTML, if you want to code in HTML, and then just drag the folder on Visual Studio Code, and you'll be asked if you trust this folder, and I will say yes, because I also trust the authors. And here we have the folder that we created right here. So in order to create your first HTML file, just hit this icon here, and we'll create like index dot, and you specify the type of file you want to create in Visual Studio Code. In this case, it will be HTML. Okay, so if we want to create our first HTML code, you can start typing HTML5, and you'll have this piece of default code that will populate the window. And here we can write like, let's say, a tag like H1, and we'll write down the classic hello world greeting. Okay, one thing I should mention is that I highly recommend you to install also. When you click here, you can choose different extensions that you can add to Visual Studio Code. So one of my favorites is live server. So you just type live server and you'll have it right here. Then you select live server and install. I already installed it, so this helps a lot, because when you make a change to your files that you create in Visual Studio Code, they are like refreshing your, let's say in this case we are working with HTML. The live server extension will refresh the HTML file. So let's see. To check what we did so far, just click, right click and open with live server. And we have this, our first HTML page. So let's say that I want to create a paragraph like hey, Adrian, nice to meet you. Subscribe. And hit save. You can see that I have the new paragraph right here. So it's a pretty cool extension that I highly recommend you to install. Of course, when you will be working with HTML, you will be also working with CSS. So in order to create a CSS file, you just hit here on this icon here, new file. And let's say style, you write the name of your style sheet, and then, or the CSS file, then write the CSS extension like .css. So this is a CSS file. In order to link the CSS with this page, with this HTML page, in the head just write like, start writing like link. And you see here, we already have like link CSS, and hit this. And by default, the name of CSS file is style.css, which will be linked with our index.html file because they are in the same folder right here. And if we are looking inside the folder we created, we already have the two files that we created in Visual Studio Code. So here you will affect all your CSS stuff. Of course, you can also create a JavaScript file. Let's say index.js. That's the extension for JavaScript. And right here you can write script source index.js. And this way we linked the HTML document with the JavaScript file right here, and here we linked this HTML code with the style CSS file. So that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe, and until next time, stay cool and code awesomeness.